largest components of county government is dealing with natural and man-made disasters. Over the past few years, we have seen several instances where counties have had to step out to help our citizens immediately while FEMA spent time assessing. The recent BP oil spill showed example after example of county judges and supervisors working for immediate relief without the resources of FEMA by their side. What plans do you have to increase the immediacy of assistance FEMA can provide our county officials during disasters? Senator.
Well, all of you all in this room know certainly that FEMA funding is critical. When you see a disaster, there is no way for you to be able to restructure and repair and do all that you need to do on the limited resources that you have. We know that there are prevalent tornadoes and floods, ice storms, a whole host of things that we are faced with, and you are the ones on the front line. I know you've heard from James Lee Witt, I believe, in your conference here this time, and you know what he has been able to do, both as a county judge, but more importantly, as director of FEMA, and we need some more of that common sense back in FEMA. We also need FEMA to be an independent agency. I supported that early on and will continue to support that to make sure that FEMA has the ability to act on its own. I think that's critical for you, for me, and for all of the people of Arkansas. I've always fought for FEMA funding, both in Washington, but also here, working with ADEQ or the ADM, sorry, ADM, the Office of Emergency Management, to make sure that we see all of what the disasters are, what they've caused, in order to make sure that we qualify for those dollars. Make sure that those dollars that are much needed are going to get down to you. The supplemental appropriations bill, which I helped in Congress to pass, included $5.1 billion for FEMA Disaster Relief Fund. $34 million will go to Arkansas and Arkansas's counties and towns that have experienced major disasters, paying for almost 3,000 projects across our state. I know many of you all were left, unfortunately, without those payments for some time. You have to carry the load. We need to make sure that we do a better job at getting those funds passed sooner than later. We've tried several times on these FEMA and the supplemental and in other places, and luckily we've been able to get it passed this time. So I'm very supportive of what we can do, both in a timely way, and more importantly, fighting hard as a delegation and with the governor and the emergency management here to ensure that we meet the requirements for that FEMA funding, and also to make sure that the funding is there in Washington. We'll fight hard for that. Thank you.
Well, first of all, FEMA voted for the supplemental that was passed or signed into law, I believe, on the 29th. That money, I think, was for October, December. I know many of you have been very, very concerned about that. So hopefully that will be released to the states, perhaps by now. I know in the last day or two it hadn't. Perhaps by now it has been released to the states, and then you should get it, in the next 3 or 4 weeks, whatever. I know that you all are talking about those things now and are more current than I am. But the big thing about FEMA is, you all are the ones that understand what are going on during those times. I'm an advocate for much greater local flexibility, much greater local control. You need to be able to make decisions just right then, and then we need to step in and support those decisions. I get so frustrated. I can remember during the last ice storm, FEMA had done a good job of pre-positioning equipment, and yet the equipment is on the trailers, and they can't get through the bureaucracy to allow them to take the equipment off the trailer. So it sits for days. And so what we've done in the office in the 3rd District is try and get very active in understanding, in the planning sessions as they go forward, so we understand what you're trying to accomplish. And then also to show up as those things hit, to try and fight through that bureaucracy. And it is during the ice storm, again, we had a situation where we needed a declaration. And they were telling us that they couldn't make the declaration because it was so bad that they couldn't get in to inspect the damage. Now, my attitude was, if it's so bad that you can't get in there, that tells you something. But if you've got to follow your guideline, get a helicopter, go up where you can see the damage. Let's get things on the road. So, again, it's something that needs reform. You do need to have more control at the local level. We need to fund you, and we need to support you when you make those decisions. Thank you. Thank you. Well, again,